Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sahara Omar. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing here in the state of Texas. And today's video is a continuation from our previous work so far in this channel on how do you do the work and recognize what you are struggling with so that way you can learn how to come out of the spaces that you're in that does not serve you anymore. And today's video, I wanted to talk with you guys about something called the drama triangle. The drama triangle was a concept that was introduced in the literature, psychological literature, by a psychologist named Cartman in the 1960s. He noticed that people were continuously finding themselves stuck in some sort of a chaos, and they're not able to pull themselves out. So with his work, he noticed these specific roles that people find themselves in that leads to chaos. So anytime there is chaos or back and forth and drama in relational dynamics and in life in general, it's because people are playing these specific roles. And I also will show you guys how do you come out of these roles as well. Later in the literature, there's another triangle that came up called the empowerment triangle, which is completely the opposite of this triangle. So let's start with first the main three roles that causes drama in general. So we have a persecutor and a victim role and then a rescuer role. We'll start with the persecutor role. The persecutor, this person, I want you guys just to envision them as like an angry human being, okay? This person tend to blame and criticize and control people. They usually have one person that they attack at a time. And then they end up like once they either succeed or not, then they move to another person. And some people are just persecutor all around and they're constantly attacking everybody. They like to blame one person, like I said, their victim, with all their problems and the things that they are going through. They like to dominate and assert some sort of superiority over the victim. And they can be seen as oppressive and unjust, contributing to this victim's sense of powerlessness. So like I said, just think of this person, just they're angry all the time. And they are either angry at their spouse, angry at their kids, angry at the grocery lady. It doesn't matter where. This is that person who throws a fit and they're just ready to attack someone. And then you have the person that they're going to attack, who is the victim. The victim role typically is characterized by a sense of feeling powerlessness and helplessness, which is rightfully so because you're just being attacked essentially, right? Victim sometimes feels oppressed, helpless, hopeless, ashamed, and they often feel like they are at the mercy of others' actions and or external circumstances in general. And they often seek a rescuer, someone else, to save them from the persecutor, to blame for their problems in general, okay? So the person who plays the victim role, they tend to complain a lot. That's what I notice. Everything is a problem. Their brain is just stuck in just seeing the problem. And initially, rightfully so, right? Especially in therapy, it makes sense when the victim comes to therapy because they are dealing with a persecutor. So the challenge for a victim is to recognize, I'm dealing with someone who is persecuting me, and I need to learn how to stand up for myself. In life, sometimes life itself can be a persecutor towards us, right? So an example of this would be, let's say you wake up and you are attempting to go to work, but then you got a flat tire. Now it feels like a persecution, right? So it feels like you're not going to have a good day. So now you have to pull over and figure out who you need to call, just to get the day moving, essentially. So in that position, for example, we can easily slip into a victim role. And then the last one we have is a rescuer role. Think of a rescuer as the person who tries to solve everything, right? So they're very, typically when I meet them in therapy, they're very anxious. Their role involves someone who intervenes and tries to save the victim from their problems. So this person just sees the persecution that's happening to the victim and they just want to solve it for them. Sometimes the rescuer needs to help and solve the victim's problem, which can perpetrate the victim's dependency and prevent them from taking responsibility for their own life. So most rescuers are enablers as well, because there is a reward that happens internally for a rescuer when you are rescuing people in general, right? But the problem with that is you're also taking away the ability for the victim person to learn how to stand up for themselves. So the challenge for a rescue, for example, is to learn how to just trust that people can figure out the answers for themselves and not just constantly jump in and rescue. Okay, so those are the three main roles. Every time you see, like I said, chaos, just think of, am I playing a persecutor here? Am I a rescuer? Am I a victim? And I'll show you guys how do you come out of these roles as well. So later, another psychologist came along and said, okay, good to know those roles. How do we teach people to come out of these roles? So then we have something called the empowerment triangle. So the empowerment triangle, it's the opposite of the drama triangle. So we'll start with the persecutor again. Instead of playing a persecutor, we need to learn how to be a challenger. A challenger tends to provide constructive feedback. There's a difference between feedback and criticism. I'll share it with you guys. The criticism is unsolicited advice. The person is not ready for it. It feels like a jab. Feedback asks for permission before you give the information to the person, right? Like, hey, I noticed something. Is it okay if I share with you? That's feedback. Where criticism is, I don't like when you do this. And you're like, okay. Or you're this, right? Like when it's very too direct and the brain is not ready. And then challenger typically needs to learn how to challenge other in a supportive way to help them grow using empathy. Coming from a place of like recognizing that people are doing the best that they can, manage the anger internally that you have. Ask yourself, why am I being so angry towards this person right now? They just made a mistake. And take a deep breath. That's the best way to slow your nervous system down in general, so that way you're not saying things that's going to hurt people. And then for the person who plays the victim, they need to learn how to be a creator. A creator role focuses on solutions instead of the problem. And people who are playing the creator role, they typically take responsibility for their choices and outcomes in general in life. So the human brain is very fascinating. Sometimes we either going to get stuck in just seeing the problem, and other people can get stuck in just seeing the solution. And the goal is to learn how to flow between the two. It's okay to recognize something is not going well and you're having a bad day, rightfully so, like that flat tire situation. Give yourself enough moments to complain and get it out of your system. But the challenge is to not get stuck in that role, right? So that's what we look for in therapy is, are you stuck in these roles or can you come out of it? Are you flexible? And then this is where I see a lot of rescuers in therapy as well too. The rescuers needs to learn how to be a coach. Usually when rescuers come to therapy, it's because they are overly maxed at their capacity. So they've been extending themselves too much and they need to learn how to pull back and set their boundaries. So a coach role supports and empowers others to find their own solutions, and they encourage independency in general, right? So basically the example I give to my clients in this role, I always tell them, like, envision a sporting game. A coach never plays for their player. A coach just points out to the player what needs to happen, right? So when somebody is struggling, it's okay to just learn how to validate them, right? Like, oh my God, that sucks. Like, that's really horrible. I'm sorry that you have to go through that. That's good enough as a coach role, rather than let me drop everything that I'm doing and I'll be right there and rescue you. If you continue to do that, unfortunately, you're creating what we call enabling, and now you have a codependent relationship with a person and you're preventing them from standing up for themselves and showing up as an adult. Okay? I hope you guys liked the video. So the question I'm going to leave with you guys is, what role are you naturally comfortable to falling into? Going back to the drama triangle, Cartman also noticed that we all can jump between all three roles comfortably, depending on what the situation in front of us is. But at the core of who we are, we fall into one of these dysfunctional roles that I mentioned in the drama triangle initially. So question again is, what role do you fall into naturally, and challenge yourself to come out of it using the empowerment triangle. All right, guys, please like if you like this video. Thumbs up. Make sure that you hit the thumbs up. Feel free to comment and subscribe as well, and share this video with other people as well. Thank you, guys.